Hello. In today's video, we continue with the architectural course with its sixth part. We will become familiar with the process of creating plan sheets, where completed drawings including floor plans, sections, and elevations will be placed. Additionally, we will create a stamp and then explore how to organize and print all of this into a single PDF file. Before we begin the work, we need to create the plan sheets. We can do this using the documentation, plot layout, prepare plot layout command. Here, we can set the format in which the plan sheets are created, specifying their size. I will create A3-sized, landscape orientation sheets. I can also specify the quantity to create in rows and columns. If I enter one in each field, the program will create a single plan sheet. If I change this to 2 columns and 2 rows, it will create 4 plan sheets. I can set the margin size at the edge. Let's make it 4 mm. If the option for placing a plot stamp is checked, I can select which plot stamp to place on the plan sheet. If I can't find the appropriate one here, I can click the blue plus button to choose from additional stamps, or select the stamp we created. I'll choose the English one horizontal, then accept with OK, and the program will create the plot layout with 4 plan sheets within it. I'll place this, using this icon among the other windows. Now, let's see how we can manage these sheets. We can manage the sheets in the Project Navigator. Here, we see the layout in the sheets. We can rename them to have a clearer view of the project. So, I right-click on the Layout 0, choose the Rename command, and name it Documentation. Below, we see listed Sheet 1, Sheet 2, Sheet 3, Sheet 4. These are the plan sheets themselves. We can also rename the sheets. I right-click, and let's rename them too. In order, the first will be the floor plan. The second will be where we place the elevations. The third will have the section. And the fourth will be for schedules. If in the Project Navigator I click on, for instance, the floor plan sheet, the program will show which plan sheet it is, and what's on it. Let's see how we can add content to these sheets. I will place the ground floor plan on the first sheet. We can do this in 2 ways. One way is to find the ground floor in the Project Navigator, and using the drag and drop method, drag it onto the plan sheet. So, I click and hold the left mouse button, then drag it onto the plan sheet. And at this point, I need to specify the scale at which the program should place it. Let's make it a 1:100 scale. Then I can place it. Upon inspection, the content of the entire ground floor view is now on this sheet. However, this is not correct, but we can modify it. If we click on the drawing, the edge markers appear. If we click on an edge marker and choose Offset, we can trim away unwanted parts. I'll trim the drawing from the right and bottom edges, and then I'll move it to the correct position. I click on the drawing, and using the Move marker, I simply move it. The next thing I'll place on this sheet is the same floor plan, but only a section of it, and I'll set it to the demolition phase. We can place this in 2 ways. Let's go back to the floor plan. The first option is to change the existing phase filter to the demolition phase, and then copy the specific portion of the plan, using the plot layout, copy part to plot layout by rectangle command. In this case, I need to select the part of the plan that I want to copy. So, I select it. With the third click, I specify the reference point that I will use when placing it onto the sheet. Then, I go back to the sheet, and I use the plot layout, paste to plot layout command. I select a scale of 1:100 and proceed to place it. As you can see, only this specific detail has been copied by the program. We can also modify this, similarly using Offset to determine which part of the floor plan we want to see. Now, let's set the demolition phase. If I click on this drawing, you can see that we can modify various parameters using the markers. We can adjust the drawing scale, architectural scale, wall detail, color schemes, and there's also the phase. Currently, the existing phase is selected, but if I click on it, I can choose the demolition phase, and the walls to be demolished will appear in red. So, switching between phases is easy, even on the plan sheet. Moreover, if we make changes to the floor plan, we can update the sheet accordingly. Let's see this in practice. I'll go to the ground floor plan, and change the color of the ramp to a darker gray. As we can see, the modification has taken place. I'll go back to the plan sheet, click on the drawing, and from its local menu, I'll choose the refresh this command. The program will update it, and now we'll see the ramp in gray. So, any changes we make to the floor plan can be updated on the plan sheets. Let's continue by placing the elevation. I'll place this on the next plan sheet. First, I'll copy the western elevation, again using the drag and drop method from the project navigator. I'll find the western elevation, and drag it onto the sheet at a scale of 1 to 100. Next, I'll copy the south elevation. I'll activate the south elevation, and recreate the technical shadow. This time, I'll copy it to the plan sheet using the plot layout, copy part to plot layout by rectangle command. The difference between copying with rectangle and regular copy commands is that, with the regular command, I can use various polygon shapes, while the rectangle command only cuts a rectangular shape. I'll use the rectangle command now. I'll select the first point, the second point, then specify the drawing reference point, and go back to the plan sheet. I'll use the plot layout, paste to plot layout command, to place it at a scale of 1 to 100. We can also align these details perfectly in line with each other. I click on the drawing, select the Move From command, choose the level 0 point, and align it. This will create a green guideline to help align the drawing. This aligns the elevations perfectly. Our next task is to copy the section onto the third plan sheet. I'll use the project navigator again, and copy the BB section to a scale of 1 to 100. I'll place it on the right side, because we'll copy a callout onto the left side. We'll find the callout under the BB section, in the elevation section, and I'll use the plot layout, copy to plot layout by rectangle command to copy it. I'll select this callout, and place it onto the sheet at a scale of 120, ensuring it's well visible. Let's make a slight modification on the section. I click on it, and use the offset to trim this callout sign, and I'll draw a custom one, using the drafting line tool. I'll start from here and extend it to this point. I'll set the line style to dotted. This way, we can draw anything onto a specific plan sheet. So, we're done with this section as well, and on the fourth plan sheet, we'll place the schedules. However, for this, we need to create a new plan sheet, with an A4 portrait format. Currently, we don't need this one, so I'll delete it. We'll create a new sheet using the plot layout, prepare plot layout command. I'll set the format to A4 portrait. And we only need one sheet, so I'll set one column and one row. The margin will be 4 by 4 millimeters, and the stamp will remain horizontal. I'll accept with OK, and the program will ask if I want to create a new layout, or add a new plan sheet to this existing layout. If I choose no, it will add it to this layout, which is what I'll select now. The newly created fourth plan sheet appears. We can also move this. I'll move it a bit closer. In the project navigator, it's named Sheet 5. I'll rename it. This will be the fourth sheet for schedules. I'll go to the ground floor plan, and copy the schedule. I'll go back to the plan sheet, and place it at a scale of 1 to 200. This way, it will fit precisely and be easily readable. Another crucial aspect regarding printing is to ensure that the printability of each layer is turned on for every drawing. Let's take the floor plan, for example. In the Layer Manager, you can see whether the print icon for the layers is crossed out or not. If it's crossed out, it means that it won't appear in the print. In such cases, you need to modify it to make it printable, and then accept the changes. The next thing we'll deal with is filling in the print stamps. So, I'll go back to the plan sheets, and you can see that the program has already placed the stamps. If you click on a print stamp, you can fill it in manually, for example, with the client's name, John Smith, and so on. However, there's an option for automatic filling as well. You can do this through the File menu, BIM, Project Parameters command, where you can fill in the stamp with information from the project. The project name should be Alata Nova. The building name is 001. For the postal code, let's use ZA 2345. The city is El Cerrito. For the client's name, you can use either the company name or the actual client's name. Let's go with John Smith, which I used earlier, and we can also provide the architect's name. The company name will be ARCHLine. Like this. Then, accept with OK. If you need to fill in just one stamp, click on the stamp and choose Edit Text in Group from the local menu. Click on Update Project Parameters, and you can see the program automatically fills the information. If you have multiple stamps, you can fill them all at once. Use the Plot Layout, Update Project Parameters command. You can see what's being filled in. If you want, you can complete the remaining fields, then accept with OK. This way, the program will fill in all the stamps in the project. It's also important to note that Plot Layout have layer settings as well, so it's worth checking the printability for the used layers in the Layer Manager. Now, you're ready to print. When dealing with many sheets, we often use the print queue command. This lets us print multiple sheets into a single PDF. You can access it through the documentation print queue command. This dialog appears, and by clicking the plus button, you can add layouts to the print queue. I select the documentation and accept with OK. We need to configure its parameters. Usually, we don't need to adjust much here, we mostly check. We want to print A3 landscape format sheets. The scale is 1:1, as we're printing A3 sized sheets in a 1:1 ratio. I won't modify the other settings. Use the Apply button to apply these settings to the plan sheets. The print queue is created, and since I named them, I can see that the program organized them correctly. If the order isn't right, you can use the black arrow to modify the order by clicking on the sheet. If you don't want to print a specific sheet, you can uncheck it to exclude it from the print queue. Simply remove the checkmark, and the program won't include it. Now we'll print all the plan sheets. Here, you can set where to save the resulting PDF document. I'll choose the ARCHLine.XP Draw 2023 Architectural Course, Lesson 6, and I'll name it Documentation. Also, make sure the Combine into a single PDF file option is checked, as this will save all the sheets in a single PDF. Clicking the Print button will initiate the printing process. Once it's done, the program will open the generated PDF. You can navigate through the pages using the arrows. With this, the documentation creation process is complete. As a final topic, let me show you how to export a DWG or IFC file from the program. If you need to hand over the project to a collaborating designer, you have the option to export it in DWG and IFC formats. Let's see how to do this. I'll export the south elevation. I'll find it, make sure it's active, and choose the file, Export, DWG command. Here, you can set the destination for the exported file. I'll use the same folder where we saved the PDF earlier. After clicking Save, the DWG export dialog appears. You can choose different versions, based on the software the recipient will use to read the file. I won't change anything for now, just accept with OK. You can see the export process starting at the bottom. You can verify the outcome of the export and view it using a free DWG viewer. I've already opened one and loaded the exported DWG file, so you can check the content the program has exported. Please note, you can view and check the content, but you can't edit it. Now, let's explore other export formats. By choosing the File, Export command, you can see various file formats that you can export with the program. Let's look at IFC. For this, I'll activate the 3D model. You can configure the level of detail you want to export here. This can be achieved through the 3D Hammer tool, specifically the Build 3D Model command. Let's use the schematic representation, which means a simplified model. Accept with OK, and you'll see a much simpler 3D model. I'll switch back to the documentation representation. Now I'll export it in IFC format. I'll use the File, Export, IFC command. Here, you can set the destination and the file name. Then, click on the Save button. It's important to know that IFC doesn't only transfer the full 3D model and the 2D floor plan, but all building information. So, software capable of handling IFC will recognize walls, floors, windows, etc., created in ARCHLine as actual building elements. ARCHLine can do the same as well. So, if we import an IFC file into the program, it will recognize these architectural elements. I won't modify these properties, I'll simply accept with OK, and this is how we'll export it. The export process might take a few minutes, depending on the complexity of the model. Once the export is completed, an information window like this will appear, detailing the elements that have been exported. We'll then check the exported file using a free viewer, specifically BIM Vision. Here, we can see the model, and if we click on any element, the program recognizes that it's a roof, a wall, or a window. While you can't edit them here, if you open them with appropriate software, you'll have that capability. This concludes today's workshop. In the next workshop, we'll explore environmental representation, editing the concept model, and drawing surrounding streets. Thank you very much for joining me today. Have a great day. Goodbye.